So last week you made a budget planner, and this week you're going to go and learn how to do data validation for your entries, for your type. Okay, so we didn't have that before. So we're going to move them over. So you have these different categories. You made up your own categories. And when I hover over, you see how it says check sheet number 2, A3, A13. So let's see, what is it checking? It's really checking this data validation area, A13. Okay, so you see how it said all the way to 13. So if we add a category there, okay, so put in a new category in the range. Okay, so we have a new category in the range that was specified as part of this drop down. And let's go see what happens. Okay, so now we say, okay, I want to change this from something else. And there's the new category in range, so I can put that in. Okay. But now, if we go back there, and remember the range that we defined was only up to 13. So this is a new category not in range. Okay? So new category not in range. And so we go back, and we find that when we look down here, and we say, okay, can we do new category in range is the last one, so it didn't include that. Okay? So what can we do? So the way we're going to put these in is you put it in with data validation. So we select all these. Okay, so we select them, and then we say data validation. And you notice that it says data validation, and we look at the range, and let's see if we can edit the range. Yeah, so let's put data validation through A18. Okay? So we just increase the range of the possible values. And we save that. And now we go in, okay, and we're going to go in and we're going to say, we want to do new category that wasn't in range, and now it is. Okay? And now you're looking and you're saying, well, what happened to food? So you see how food is listed as invalid. Okay, so I'm going to change food, which is currently invalid, and I'm going to replace food with groceries. And now it likes those, right? But we're going to go back in, and let's go here, and we're going to change back to food. Okay? So when I put in food again, what's going to happen? So as you suspect, now those are considered wrong. Okay? So we go in and we say, not in range. We're going to say, oh, well, it's really food. Okay, it was food. So you can change your values, but then you'll have to go back in and change. Okay. So now, let's look at my worksheet from my data sheet from last week. So I'm going to get rid of our little chart there. Okay, so you see I had some categories here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those categories in a new sheet. Okay, and I'm going to put them in sheet 2. Well, let's make, so you can see that's where I had things for you to work on. So we'll do a new sheet, sheet 3, and we'll call it data validation. We'll rename it, and we'll use capital letters, D-A-T-A, V-A-L-I, D-A-T-I-O-N. Okay, so we're going to call it data validation. Okay, and so it's going to be in the first row. Nope, that didn't work, so let's see if we can copy them again. So we're going to copy these guys down. Okay. We're going to go in and we're going to say, okay, we want to do cars, travel. Okay, so these are our categories. Okay, so now we're going to say that anything that we put in to our data in sheet 1 has to be one of these. Okay? And so, but let's make the category a little bit longer. So we'll go all the way down to 15. So we'll go from, say, A3 to A15. And that'll let us then add categories as we're going along. Okay? So we highlight, okay, and we make room maybe for some extra spots here that we can highlight. And we say data, we're going to validate this. Okay, so we say data validation. And we say list from a range. And we say, well, what is it? So it's data, it's from the other data sheet, data validation. Yeah, hard part is it's an exclamation point, data validation, exclamation point. That says it's from another page. And let's see, what was it? It was A2 to A, let's say A18. Okay. And should we show a warning? Let's just reject the input, right? So if it's not right, we're going to reject it. Okay. So now, let's see what we can choose here. And so you can see we've got all those categories. So now when we put in something new, so I'm going to put in something new, I'm going to say, okay, today I spent on education, so I bought a new French book, let's say. So $25, and then I pull down the menu and I say, well, it was on education, and it was, say, a French grammar. Okay. Lots of rules of French grammar. Okay, and we enter that. Okay, so we're okay. So then I go in here, and I just try and type. Maybe I type, well, sports. I spend money on sports. It's not going to let us do that. Okay, so it's not going to let us do that. All right. So now, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do here? So there you kind of have this issue of should you do data validation there? And so for right now, I think what we'll do is we'll just copy exactly what's in here. Okay, and we already did that, where we started with that. Okay, and so we've got that. So what are remember, this is our sum if. Okay, and let's do the same thing, but let's do the number of items. Okay, and so we're going to do a very similar formula. So you say, I'm going to grab this formula, okay, and we'll do a copy, and I'm going to paste it in here. Okay, and you see I get cars. But now I'm going to modify it. So instead of sum if, I'm going to say count if. Okay, and that, you can see, it counts. It's a conditional count. So it's going to look for cars, and it's going to look for cars, and the cars are going to be in C, and that's all it's going to do. So it's just going to count if it finds cars. Okay, so what do we have there then? We have how many times we found cars. Okay. So now if we pull down, what happens? So we find how much of each thing there are. So let's just try it out, and let's add something to cars. Okay, so let's add and say, well, today I filled up with gas. Okay, and so I do put in today's date, and I say, well, it was it was a Prius, so it was only $20. Okay, and so now we have a third thing for cars, and the total amount that went up for cars. Okay, so what we have is we have a count if, okay, and we have this data validation. And the data validation, we highlighted the range of cells that we wanted to check, and then we said data validation. And in doing data validation, then we got this set here. Now, so we're happy with that, but let's just learn one more thing. So let's go to data validation. We're going to declare a range. Okay? And so we're going to declare a range. It's going to be a little bit bigger. We're going to say this is where our categories are. Okay, we didn't want to do that. Okay, so we're going to look in there. All right, so you go and you take, we're going to highlight from A3 to A20. We go into data, and we're going to go to named ranges. Okay, and you see how it says data validation A20, and we're going to say categories. Okay, and so now we've got this categories here, and let's see if we can change our data validation here to say we want to do the categories. So instead of taking a chance that you make a mistake on it, we're going to just say data validation, and we're going to do list from a range. Okay, let's see if we can put in select a data range. If we can put in categories here, should be able to, but I'm not sure if we can. All right, so now we go down here, and does it work? Yes, so you see it worked. And so that, and now what happens though when we go back and we look at what we did? Let's see if it remembers. Oh, it's not conditional formatting, sorry. So we go to data validation, and we look back and we say, what is this? All right, so yeah. So that, in any case, is a good idea to do that data validation and to have a named range. And what I'm going to do then next week is show you how to then take that named range and copy it to here. So that'll be one of the things we do. So the other thing was using the COUNTIF to count how many of each category you have.